68's YouTube channel. We are sponsored, as always, by BetRivers. I am Jim Root. I'm hosting today. Got my chat czar, Matthew Cox, making sure he remembers that that's his duty, and Kai McEwen playing utility, giving us a lot of hot takes today. Fellas, before we get our hot takes on today's games, let's talk takeaways from yesterday. Kai, there was a lot of good hoop. What jumped out to you?
Sure was. Jim, well, first, let's talk Mizzou Tigers really quick. Hey, fought hard, tough effort for them. It was fun rooting for a good team. Mizzou was up for a while. Arkansas, like they usually do, they punched back in the second half. No qualms with the effort I saw, Jim. They covered, they hung in there. I'm high on my Tigers still. Second take, Illinois. This team is lost. Wow. And I wasn't ready to sound the alarm bells pre-Northwestern game, but Matt, when I saw them give up a 20-2 run and look completely out of sorts and just had no idea what they were doing on the floor, that's when I said, okay, I'm officially concerned about the Illinois Illini. Matthew.
Yeah, I am too. I kind of thought it was all smoke and mirrors and, nonsense hubbub that was being drummed up about that team, but it sounds like it's real. And when you go into Northwestern and lay that type of egg against a defense that I think is good, but not the steel curtain stealer defense, which it's been made out to be. I certainly have to agree with that. My Duke Blue Devils stink. Down to 23 in KenPom, 11-4. I know the NC State thing is a house of horrors. It has been historically, but just a lot of multi-layered issues with that team. Coaching is at the forefront. Jim, do you know if Billy Donovan's available?
I had to bring it up.
His contract situation
to bring it up. I was thinking about this last night. I was like going through every Coach K tree member. Like Amaker fired at Michigan, Dawkins fired at Stanford, Wojo fired at Marquette.
Marquette.
Guys at high majors don't really wear. Capel fired at Oklahoma. I know he's okay, and almost fired at Pitt. There wasn't really a lot of indication that Shire would be great, especially not right away. And yeah, we're kind of seeing that, unfortunately. I dislike Illinois almost as much as they dislike each other. That was one of my takeaways. Seemed like there's no chemistry there. And my Horned Frogs, how about it, man? I'm not going to say my Final Four pick is smart yet, but it's way less dumb than it appeared for a while. So I'm excited about TCU. Big time come from behind victory at Baylor. 2-0 in the Big 12, despite shooting 17% from three so far. If they ever actually, even you just shoot competently, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. All right, let's get into the outline. We got to start with the headliner. I don't care what team you cheer for, what conference you're a fan of. The headliner today is UAB at Florida Atlantic, a big one in CUSA. Two teams sitting at 1-0 in the league. UAB is 2-0. FAU laying 2 at home. Jim, how dare you? They've only been a favorite over UAB twice in the history of these two programs. That was back in 2020. Kai, should they be a favorite today? What do you think? What do you make of this one?
No, UAB should not be a favorite. I think FAU should be a favorite. It's correct. However, I was surprised at the opener. It was 5, 4.5, 4 at open. And that was too high. The market moved it the right way, in my opinion. But man, is FAU good. Dusty May, Matt had some quotes, how he's confident his team's depth can stop UAB today. Yep. They're going to be hyper-focused on Jelly Walker. Hopefully, Jelly can find ways to create for others because he's going to have to. FAU is going to be all over him. We need a big game from Eric Gaines. I say we because I took UAB at +4. I can't recommend it at 2 right now because FAU is just rock solid. Among the best ATS teams in the country as well. It's a very scary team to fade. Big key for UAB on the other end. Trey Jamison has to have a good defensive game against Golden, who has been immense inside for FAU.
Yeah, I think FAU's got multiple stout perimeter lockdown guys to put on Jelly. I know he had a couple big games last year against them, but this team's just way healthier. And the guards that have lifted this team, like why FAU is awesome this year is that their guards are finally healthy and they're all playing together well. And then the Vladdy Golden thing up front is just a revelation. So they just have such an inside-outside punch. But defensively, I watched like Brian Greenlee. He's my favorite player on this team. Like absolute bulldog, get after and pester you. He's not like that big, but Jelly's not like a 6'4" long guard either. And I think you have to take away the head of the snake here to have a chance against UAB. And just how good FAU's offense is, I don't think they're going to be overly bothered by UAB's pressure. Just a bunch of, I like to say, adults in that backcourt, Jim. I think they get it done. This is something magical about this FAU thing. I should buy back against at -2. I don't know why I haven't.
I'm starting to think about it. I think they are slightly better than UAB, and I give them a little bit of home here. Matt, you've mentioned it before in other places. They've got this week off to prepare, whereas UAB have the UTSA game mixed in there, gives them a little bit less prep time. I just totally buy that FAU is like this rocket ship way outside of their program history. They've got the guards, like Matt mentioned, the two-headed monster up front with Golden and Rosado, lineup versatility. It's plenty of outside shooting. I think they can handle the pressure. And as long as they have somebody glued to Jelly Walker at all times, make his shots tough. He can make anything, but as long as he's shooting over the top and you kind of, if you can like tease him into making him feel like he's got to put on a show, he'll start to take some bad shots and candidly be, try to back him off a little bit. I like FAU, man. I'm not betting it yet. If it gets to 1.5, I probably will. But
hey,
at least beat the line.
I might take it also and just take the
middle action,
3-point
nice.
Middle. Why not?
Yeah,
why not?
There you go. We'll enjoy watching it more that way. That's for sure.
Yes.
That's like part of my hesitance to not want to be on this. Is just drink in a glorious CUSA game here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up, the stumbling Boilermakers. Purdue, 7 straight ATS losses, head on the road to Ohio State, where they are a 1.5 point underdog to the Buckeyes. Purdue obviously really, really struggling lately. Matt, do you think they right the ship at Ohio State?
Nope. I'll be honest, I left this off my best bet card because I thought the line was going to move, and it just hasn't. So I'm going to add it right now at the buzzer. I apologize to the producers and us for not sharing up front, but I'm adding Ohio State to my card today. -2, -1.5. What's the current price at BetRivers?
1.5.
1.5. I'll take it. I just think this Purdue demise is real. I don't think they're like a fraud. It's just the fact that they're the number one team in the country. And analytically, they kind of rose to that level as well, right? It wasn't like a big discrepancy between the AP and the numbers. I mean, Purdue dominated to start the year, coming off that Oregon MTE out there. Kai was in person. I just don't trust these guards. I think they're solid, but I don't think they're super dynamic. And when you can find a really definite way to scheme against Edey, I think you can sort of look more mortal. And Ohio State's my only issue with this Ohio State team has been I don't necessarily trust their rookies in certain tricky high leverage spots, but at home, big hype home spot, they're going to play awesome, man. I mean, how good have they been? Sensabaugh and who's the point guard who's been even better? Yeah, Thornton's amazing. I like the Bucks here. I think they get it done.
Well, the thing is, they're going against freshmen, right? Like they're
right, freshmen versus freshmen. I like the
freshmen
freshmen at home better than the freshmen on the road in the Big Ten game.
Did you say, is this your best bet? I didn't.
Yeah, I'm adding it. I have 2 now. Sorry,
I didn't even know what your other best bet is, to be honest. But we'll find out later. Can't wait.
We'll find out together.
This feels like Ohio State's game. They're looking to go to 3-0 in the Big Ten. Sensabaugh has won freshman of the week like every single week so far for the Big Ten. I know there's not been too many, but he's been incredible. The thing I like about Ohio State's freshmen is they're men. They're huge. They're strong. They're really, really physical. That could cause issues for Smith, for Lawyer, for Morton, for Newman. Purdue's, we'll say, more lithe backcourt. A backcourt I really like, but definitely not nearly as physical as Ohio State's. And yeah, Jim mentioned Purdue hasn't covered in 7 games. That's a trend I'm not really trying to get in front of. Does Ohio State have the bodies to stop Edey? Not really. Zed Key's pretty strong. It's going to take concerted effort, but I think backcourt edge at Ohio State, and especially being at home, gives them a little bit of an edge in this game at -1.5.
Cody just mentioned it in the chat. Edey foul trouble. He thinks incoming. I don't know if it's incoming or not, but that's important. Like if he does get in foul trouble, that is a good sign to probably get on Ohio State. I'm sure they're going to try to pound it into Zed Key or maybe get Edey moving in space, defending drives. Like if he has to guard Sensabaugh off a ball screen, like good luck. I think that's going to be a real problem for him. I think Holtman will bring a good game plan for Edey. That's been, I think, huge for teams sort of slowing him down recently. His last game was his first non-KenPom game MVP. Rutgers was able to negate him a little bit. I'll say that much. And Holtman is 4-3-1 against the spread against Painter. That's not like a huge edge or anything. I'm just glad it's not like heavily tilted towards Painter. That's the only part that matters to me there. So yeah, I side with Matt here. I lean towards the Big Ten home team. Purdue's guards, only other road Big Ten game, they needed overtime at Nebraska, and Ohio State's better than Nebraska. All right, we'll stay in the Big Ten. And Matt, we're going to stick with you, your alma mater, the IU Hoosiers, who are stumbling, but they are taking on an Iowa team that has face planted. So they're in worse shape than you. Patrick McCaffrey has stepped away from the team. Chris Murray is back, but maybe not fully himself. But Iowa is laying 1.5 at home, similar to the Ohio State line here. Are you leaning towards the home team again?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I think the Iowa issues have been more widely publicized, but Indiana's got some of their own as well. Kyle, you broke down the recent poor form of a lot. Oh, sorry, Jim, you broke this down on our podcast. The poor form of Iowa, Indiana, Purdue to a lesser extent.
Illinois, Wisconsin,
Illinois is
Maryland,
obviously the
just
biggest.
name a Big
Maryland
Ten team
too.
other than Rutgers.
Obviously, when you stay in conference, you have two of these kind of bad form teams pinned against each other. So if you're looking for a get right game from one of the two, I tend to side with the home team, especially a team that's been, I think, really, really undervalued just because of how poor they played lately. It's like you're trying to catch two falling knives. I'd rather catch the falling knife with the team at home, Kai.
Yeah, both teams come in with roster issues, right? Xavier Johnson out for Indiana, Pat McCaffrey, leave of absence for Iowa. The angle here, the spot is Iowa, right? They're desperate for a win. They're 0-3 in the Big Ten. Indiana's clearly the better team right now. Iowa's at home. Chris Murray needs a big game for them to win this game, in my opinion. I think there's going to be a lot of points. Points galore here on both sides. I think both teams can score. Even without Pat McCaffrey, Xavier Johnson in the lineup, I think both teams want to run, score a lot of points here. Can Rabracha handle Thompson and Jackson Davis? I don't really think so. And that's why I think Indiana's going to have a pretty easy path to points. But again, the spot's Iowa, despite Indiana being the more talented team and in better shape right now. That has me staying away here, Jim.
Yeah, last 3 games, Iowa from deep, 7 for 25, 7 for 28, 7 for 33. Like they just haven't made shots. Yeah. And maybe this isn't the elite shooting teams of Iowa past. There's not Jordan Bohannon hitting 40% at high volume. Peyton Sandfort has not delivered on his potential, but I think they're going to start to make shots at some point. They're too good not to, especially Murray himself. I would lean towards Iowa, but I looked at this game initially and I was like, Indiana can't keep stumbling, right? I know the performances against Elon and Kennesaw weren't that sharp. If Trace Jackson Davis is healthy, you should have a field day. This one really pulled me in 2 different directions. So I decided that's when you should stay away, Jim. That's how it works when there's 79 games on the card. Yeah, how about that? All right, Kai, one more Big Ten game before we hit Chat Mob. And it is the one that is trending up. That would be Rutgers. Man, they're playing well lately. Now they are laying 5 at home to Maryland, who's playing terribly. Surprising to see money come in here on Maryland, maybe at the rack. Do you agree with it, or are you going to punch back?
Yeah, I think the spread was a tad high on the open. It's like 5.5, 6. So I get the market coming in. I did not do that. I'm not going to fade Rutgers here. They've been fantastic. Should be 3-0 in conference with that Ohio State buzzer beater. Right. And they're back to the rack, Matt. They're 8-2 against the spread at home this year. A 10-point cover margin at home. Not a fun team to fade. Seton Hall did get them outright at home in a very, very ugly game. But Maryland's been a bit out of sorts recently. They got smoked by UCLA, smoked by Michigan. They did compete with Wisconsin, Tennessee not too long ago. I do think this team's going to be okay, and I'm a believer long term. But right now, the clearly better team, much, much better team is Rutgers. I think they have a lot of an advantage inside with Amori. However, Maryland does have a lot of size throughout their roster to kind of combat Rutgers' long backcourt, usually something Rutgers has an advantage of over other teams. So I can't fade Rutgers here, and I can't justify laying 5, so I'm staying away.
Yeah, I wanted to back Maryland a little bit, but not enough to rush in and take the points. Glad the early money pushed it to 4.5 at one point. Now there's been some buyback on Rutgers. It's up to 5.5 basically now. So unless it hits like 6, 7, I have no interest in this game. I know Rutgers is on a tear, just not a great spot for them to lay points. I know they've said they've been like a pretty good favorite this year, but it's been more as a large favorite against teams multiple weight classes below them, where I think their defensive pressure just simply overwhelms mid-majors. That won't happen against Maryland. I mean, I know they had a terrible outing last game, but I don't think they're going to be completely stymied by Rutgers defensive pressure there. So nothing for me, Jim. Should be a low-scoring game, 130 total.
Yeah, which is 4 points higher than the KenPom projection, actually. And I saw Ray just said Jim has to like the under here. I actually kind of like the over. Some of the shot regression stuff I look at is tilting towards the over. Rutgers plays a little bit faster than you think. I just am worried about efficiency. Like Maryland could really struggle to score against all that length and physicality. If they blanket Jameer Young, Matt, I don't know who else creates for Charlotte. That's a real issue. Excuse me, not for Charlotte. He doesn't play for them anymore. For Maryland. So yeah, I lean towards the over actually, but I know that's kind of against the grain and scary to bet Rutgers overs. Not fun at all. Let's get into Chat Mob part 1 here, Matthias. Hopefully you're keeping up with all these questions that are rolling in here. What do you got for us?
Let's start off with a few of the best bets. I want our reactions to Chat Mob locks of the day. Seems like the consensus pick is Queens. Do we have a take on this one, gentlemen? A little extra showdown. Jim, I'll go to you.
Yeah, I kind of buy what they're saying. Queens can out-athlete Bellarmine. And I think with no Bash Wheeland, Bellarmine's just kind of been a different team.
Yep.
They don't also have Dylan Penn, the guy that breaks down off the dribble when their like continuous motion offense doesn't create something. Queens, they're just a little bit better for me right now.
I agree. Yeah, the fact that Bellarmine just like limped by North Alabama and in a juicy spot was sort of like, maybe this team's not what I thought. And you're right, I think the Bash thing is real. A couple other locks. Kai Ray has said he's never placed a bet faster than locking in the points with Southern Miss. It's now up to 3. So actually some money's come against them. The Raging Cajuns are laying it. What do you think?
Yeah, I've been on Southern Miss mostly every single game this season. I didn't take them today. I do think Louisiana's pretty good. Kobe Julian's back for them. They still could be top 3 team in the Sun Belt here. I won't say the best because Marshall and James Madison seem to be running away with it. But yeah, anytime you're not going to see Southern Miss the dog very often the rest of the year. So if you like them, you believe in them, not a bad pick. +3.
Quick cue for both of you. If Neftali Alvarez is back today, does that help or hurt in his first game?
Yeah,
he's been like day to day and almost back.
I don't know.
We saw Mercer play fine without him. We saw Mercer play terrible without him. That's a tough one to appraise. I got no take there, but good to note. Obviously, thank you, Jim. All of the rosters. Yeah. A couple other overlaps on Pacific, Jimbo. They're on the road at San Diego. Some money coming in on the Tigers from 7 to 6. Thoughts?
Yeah, San Diego lane 6. There's roster questions here. I don't know if Dallaire or Eric Williams are going to be back for San Diego. I think they matter quite a bit. If either or both are out, I agree with that money. I think 7 would have been too high if they don't have either of those guys. San Diego's been super erratic. They can get blown out, they can lose his favorite, or they can win at San Francisco down 2 starters. So it's been hard to figure them out.
Hi, Cincinnati, Wichita State. Just some general discussion. Question: people seeking our intel. What do you think on this one?
I don't have a huge take here. Porter's back for Wichita. Since he still has their same guys out of the lineup, they've been a much better team, in my opinion. I don't think that's opinion. That's pretty much fact. At -2, though, I respect Wichita's home court a lot. The Roundhouse, I think they can beat anybody there. So I just stayed away. I think the line's pretty fair.
Yeah, it's been bet up to Cincy -2, probably based on some of that Wichita injury news. Jim, Renzo Bros, Louisiana Tech, Rice. I wrote down Rice, hardest gut lean of the day. I just couldn't get there on the price. I still respect Louisiana Tech and what they've done this year. They have not been as bad as I think people realize. Obviously, in a post-Kenny Lofton era. Yeah, they've been solid. So I didn't take it, but I think Rice is the right take here.
Yeah, Louisiana Tech just got inside the number at Charlotte. I know me and several others are bitter about that under dying a painful death on the last one. Kai, you had a good Rice stat on this. I kind of want you to share it.
I do?
Yeah, you said what was the Bartorva current form stuff here?
Oh no. I don't think I have it.
I may have it.
No, I'm pretty sure you said Rice using recent data is like.
I think if you look at
22.5, Jim, 22.5.
If you look at since December 1st, I think he's got him like a 20-point favorite.
Yeah.
There's caveats galore in that.
Trended way up. Yeah. The performance at Texas looks great, but that was right after Beard got arrested. So who knows?
Yeah, add Rice to the shit list. Lost my first 4 bets against them. They played negative defense, and now they really look terrific. So
yeah, they really did a 180.
It's trying to set you there.
I forgot, Jim. I think about so many things during the day that I tend to lose a few out of my
lot
ear.
of games, a lot
Matt
going on.
Matt gets it.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not a good multitasker. Ha ha ha. Hey, I'm kind of killing this right now. Kai, going to you. Milwaukee, Cleveland State. Multiple questions about a Horizon showdown. The Panthers, overachiever in non-conference, took one on the chin against Oakland to kick off their conference debut. I think this number is a little too high against the Cleveland State team. I don't feel like plays well as a favorite. Your thoughts?
Well, you could say both teams overachieved in the non-con. I think Cleveland State's a lot better than everyone thought they would be as well. Yeah, 5.5. Milwaukee took money. I think it was over 6 at one point. I do lean towards the Panthers here, but I did not play it.
Jim, Matty Akers, Montana at Northern Arizona. I have a total take, and I never have total takes on this one. I like the under.
Oh man, you gotta start reading our group chat sometime. The one where we talk about this actual show, because the under is one of my best bets. Yeah,
is it really?
Best
okay,
bets. Montana,
spoiled.
Northern Arizona.
Look how mad Kai is. Kai's so mad right now.
Just disappointed.
Yeah,
just disappointed.
Don't be. Adjust your expectations. Adjust your expectations.
Nothing more like spot on than Matt saying right after he said he's killing the group chat is to nuke a best bet here.
See, this is not a demotion. This is still like kind of on par for me. So I don't take any demerits for this.
BetRivers basically has the best line on this right now out of all the legal.
Shouts to our fine sponsor, baby.
So get it in there right now, Jim.
138.5 at BetRivers. BetRivers always got the best line.
Always the best lines.
Always.
No matter which side you're on.
All right, back to you, Matt.
Kai, I got a twofer for you from a Boston sports fan. I don't co-sign that. I hate all Boston sports, so I don't know if I even took these guys' questions. But anyway, Morehead State -2 versus Southern Indiana, a team that has some stark home road splits. And then Pepperdine Santa Clara. Start with the SIU Morehead breakdown.
Yeah, in fact, we're going to put Pepperdine Santa Clara till later in the show. Hint, hint, Matthew. And Morehead State is -2. I like Morehead State here. Southern Indiana is very good at home, like one of the best teams in the country at home, ATS-wise. They're not on the road. They're one of the worst road teams, ATS-wise. So I like Morehead State here. That's not a great angle to go on solely. I do think Morehead can compete, though, here at -2.
Jim, Danny, the San Fran and Gonzaga line, he believes, seems a little bit low. I kind of
so you want to go back to the outline, is what you're saying?
Let's say for the outline. Tell me the outline. We'll holster that.
Literally the next one on the outline.
This is good. Keep on.
Next game, Kai, focus here. Quit celebrating. Dan K asking about Houston against SMU.
Yes.
Is it too many points? Yeah, 20 is a lot. It's been bet down though.
20 sure is a lot. Guess what? My number still kind of likes Houston at -20. I did not take it because I think it's ridiculous, and I'm done playing huge spreads in conference play for favorites. There's too much variance. I've seen some first half love for Houston. Sure.
Always.
Why not?
Always lean first half.
Still pretty big in the first half. And SMU's been playing a lot better. So I stayed away. No, thanks.
SMU on the island was like, oh, maybe the parts are coming together. So I'm sitting out.
And they can play low games. I agree with that sentiment. Maddie B with 4 questions. Let's get all 4 quickly and get back to the outline here. We'll start with James Madison laying 12 and a hook to Texas State at home. Feels high, but we've seen James Madison run out teams in a hurry. I think they do against what you call, Jim, the MASH unit that is the Bobcats right now.
Yeah, Texas State was missing like 4 rotation guys last time. Some new guys, some guys that had been out a while. And it's been that like all season. So I don't trust a team with questionable depth and health against James Madison.
Kai, Sam Houston hosting Grand Canyon WAC Showdown. Another one where I'm looking to punch back against the market on the shorter home favorite. Sam Houston open -5.5, now down to -3. Big Lopes money.
Yeah, and I get it because that spread seems high, but Grand Canyon is a different team on the road. And man, I'm done fading Sam Houston. This team is really, really good. I watched them against New Mexico State. They just guard. They play extremely hard.
They're outstanding.
And they're really well coached too. So yeah, -3, I'm starting to lean their way on the number.
They're a better, more disciplined, less injured Tarleton. Not to oversimplify who they are, but like that's what I watched. That's what they look like.
Much more disciplined. Emphasis.
Much more disciplined. Right.
Yes.
And unlike Tarleton, not like a million injuries. Jim, his third question: Utah Tech at Cal Bap. Big money coming in on the Lancers. I wanted to take this as the best bet, but price is just too high right now.
Yeah, the market really loves Cal Baptist, 4 up to 6.5. I have kind of been low on them all season. I just don't think they're all that good outside of Taron Armstrong's creative abilities, and he's not really a scorer. The paint hasn't been as secure without Dan Ocken, who transferred to Utah State. I would probably lean towards the dog at this point, given where it's gotten to line-wise.
Cam Gooden out for Utah Tech.
Well,
if you're curious.
Is that confirmed? I still bet it, assuming he would be, but okay, it's confirmed.
He's out.
He's out for a while, right? Okay, yeah.
He's out.
Big, important point guard. Last whack question. Kai, UT Arlington is hosting Utah Valley, who has been, awesome times 10 the last 4 weeks, beating Oregon at Oregon. They beat BYU at BYU. I think it's a tough road spot, but maybe I shouldn't be thinking that given how good they've been on the road already this year.
Yeah, I took Arlington small. Didn't love it. I took them at 6.5. It's still 6.5. I wanted 7, but it's too many points. And Arlington is a really good team at mucking games up. There's a chance they can just make this ugly and kind of scrap inside the number. I don't expect them to win.
I took the Mavs. That's all I got. I'll holster the extras for rapid fire at the end. Back to the outline, which I'm not paying attention to.
You were so amped up to talk Gonzaga San Francisco. I'm going to kick it to you first here. This line's kind of danced around. Last night I saw it tick up to 11 from 10.5. Then it hit 9 earlier today, mostly 9.5 across the board now. What do you make of this, Matthew? Gonzaga has been, they have not lost at San Francisco in quite a long time. War Memorial has not really been that house of horrors you expect, but San Francisco has been erratic enough where you could get this home run performance if they compete. So what do you think?
Yeah, but I'm just really bothered by the San Diego game. Like after the Santa Clara loss where they sort of folded late, that was a perfect ripe home spot to get right, get back to 1-1 in conference against a depleted Toreros team, the Fighting Steve Lavins, got beat by 12 at home. So I've lost all confidence in this Dons team. This is a more vulnerable Gonzaga team than we've seen in years past. You could see them keeping it closer, Kai, up on the hilltop at War Memorial, but I have no appetite to take.
I think the Zags are going to roll through the West Coast Conference. Besides the St. Mary's teams, they pounded Pepperdine, and they've been really good as of late. I think they're going to roll the Dons tonight. I'm surprised. One, the Dons took money. I'm surprised two that the under took money. I'm not taking Gonzaga under in WCC play. You can't make me do it. They want to run, and score as many points as possible. If the Dons don't grind this to a halt, though, that's got to be their goal. They will get destroyed. I don't think anybody can guard Drew Timme. No one can guard Anton Watson. San Francisco has no true competent bigs. The Zags are going to get what they want on offense. On the other side, Jim, it comes down to three-point shooting. The Dons are 4th nationally in three-point attempt rate. They're 10th in percentage of points scored from behind the arc. It's basically feast or famine for them. If they're cold at all, it's a blowout. So I lean towards the Zags here.
Yep, totally agree. Nobody can guard Timme. I think that's a major point here. I also think Gonzaga is kind of the opposite of Purdue and UConn right now, where they didn't dominate their non-conference gauntlet.
Yep.
And that's almost dragged down their value in a lot of analytics stuff. Like they're outside the top 10 at Ken Pom. And if they're going to be priced like that against WCC teams, I think you're going to get some value on the number. I lean their way, just laying single digits at San Francisco. And it's not like this home run San Francisco squad that we saw under Golden last year, or even I think 3 years ago when they had big Jimbo Wool roaming the interior. So yeah, I think Gonzaga trends way up in league play. I'm with you. All right, next up, we head to the mountains. We got a 3-pack in the Pac-12 to close out the outline. First up, the Buffaloes, Matthew in Boulder, Colorado, laying 2.5. Number hasn't moved that much here. Obviously a tough road trip going to the mountains in the Pac-12, but we tend to think the back end of it, the second game is where you really want to pounce. Is that how you're approaching this one?
This is just the hardest stay away for me. Like it's a vintage Pac-12 showdown where it's already a crapshoot league and it's two of the more Jekyll and Hyde teams within an already crapshoot league. And you put in the altitude factor. I don't know. Kai, do you have a take on this? I just don't. Stay away.
Yeah. Well, Jim's right. The dreaded mountain road trip, it's usually the second leg that we see more value. Oregon, this exact same spot last year, they won by 15 at Colorado. There was no effectiveness from the altitude in game one. Game open 3.5. And frankly, I was pretty shocked at that number. I'm not really sure Colorado should be favored right now. Just lost to Cal. It's a great bounce back spot for them for sure. Yeah, I can't talk today. A bounce back spot.
No, I'm laughing at losing to Cal. That's
lost to Cal. Yeah, well, that's even worse than my speech impediment. But the size, I think, is going to be a real issue for Lovering, Colorado Center, and for De Silva. Ducks have been a lot better with their deeper guard rotation, so I like them here plus 2.5. I took them at 3, smaller bet at 2.5 too.
Yeah, I think if you're not giving way too much for home because it isn't the second half of altitude, then I think that's probably the right play. Being healthier in the backcourt, it's not like Colorado's going to hyper pressure the guards that they do have. I'm not too concerned about that, but Buffaloes have been maybe not full on whack-a-mole, but also kind of a great performance or horrific performance, i.e. losing to Cal. You just don't really know what you're going to get. Do you get the home Deion Sanders prime game where they blow out Colorado State, or do you get something shakier where it's not as big for them tonight? We'll find out. All right, we'll go to a rivalry game now in the LA area, the City of Angels. Kai, UCLA was laying 14 on openers. It's been bet down to 11, probably in large part due to Amari Bailey continuing to be out. UCLA wasn't as sharp without him. The offense lacks that one extra ceiling option. Like he has the talent to really infuse them with some extra burst. Mm-hmm. Does that give USC the edge as a dog in a game with very little travel?
Yeah, 13 was pretty darn big at the opener, but I'll admit I even passed on it at 13. UCLA is scary, and USC is a team I severely dislike. Points for USC, yes, the travel's minimal. Besides the traffic, Matt, that kind of LA
right?
traffic. Am I right?
They'll helicopter over there. It's fine.
Yeah, no Bailey. That definitely hurts for UCLA as well. The Trojans have actually won 5 of the last 7 matchups too in this series, which surprised me. Now UCLA's taken 2 of the last 3. Clearly, the tables are turning a bit there. There's no answer for Jaquez. I think Campbell's the best guard on the floor. Clark's been great. Bana has been really good for UCLA inside. And though USC is very big, I think the biggest team in the country or second biggest, there's no real like scary front court player this year for USC that's going to dominate the paint. So at 11, I'm not really interested in either side here. I'm just going to stand on the fence here, Matt.
I still my top 10 at 11, actually, guys. 14 was where I wanted, obviously, but 11 is just it's too, like, I'm just so mad that I missed 3 points of value, so I didn't actually take it. I do think this game's somewhat competitive, as good as UCLA's been. I think USC has enough talent, and they're locked in enough for this crosstown quasi-rivalry game. I think this is a little bit more competitive than the opener indicates, but 11's no bargain at the current number. And Jim, I think the under is also a good total lean, but that's been bet down 2 points to 138 as well.
Yeah, I buy that. Somebody in the chat said Raz likes the under. There you go. There's some people who
they're good at
usually
totals.
typically know what they're doing.
Good
are on the under. So whether you think there's value there or not, that's up to you. I'm with you, Matt. I think there might still be a shred of value on UC or on USC at 11. I took it at some 12.5, some 13. Wonka Dog in the chat 14. Salute to you. Well done. That's a sharp number getting right there. I just think it's going to be competitive. USC, a team I like a lot more as an underdog, kind of hyper motivated. Let's get up to play our rival when they're a favorite, and they can kind of lollygag through stuff. I don't like them nearly as much. So yeah, that would be the side under. Obviously, like we said, been bet down. Perhaps there's still some value. Last one on the outline, the curtain of distraction. Tempe, Arizona State hosting Matthews Wazoo Cougars. But I'm going to Kai first here. We'll let Matt bring the hammer on this one. It's been bet down a little bit. Arizona State -4, what we're looking at right now. Crazily, insanely, again, I kind of like an ugly over here. I think both teams are due for a little bit more shot making, but man, Arizona State overs are brutal at times because the defense can really lock down. What do you think, Kai?
Yeah, I agree with the market move here. I'm a little ashamed I didn't hop in at 5. I thought about it more as a gut play. Because Wazoo can be good. I still think they have pieces. I know they have coaching, and they've also had a lot of bad luck this year that I think will turn around eventually. TBD on when. But Arizona State, man, I also think they're pretty good. I watched that Arizona game. They should have covered. They were impressive defensively. They were everywhere. This team is athletic as balls, frankly. They're really, really, really athletic. They're one of the most athletic teams I've seen. When they turned up the pressure against Arizona in the second half, it was pretty scary. And that's bad against a Washington State team that doesn't handle the ball very well. Also, Arizona State in that Arizona game was 3 for 27 from 3. To Jim's point, that has to turn around at least a little bit at some point. So nothing at 4 for me. Again, kind of lean Washington State at 5. I kind of like what I saw with Arizona State, though.
I would lean toward my Cougars, but not at the current price. Again, another spot where I just missed the number. Do you think Washington State maybe turned around a little bit after last weekend? I think some encouraging moments there. You got Mullins off the bench making shots. You got Akisimov in the starting lineup. They're now running a 7-man rotation, which is more depth than they had earlier, which is crazy given I thought this team would be really deep to start the year. I think Washington State's kind of a buy low, but I don't. This number doesn't reflect it at the current price, so I stayed away.
Yeah, we got to remember that Washington State got really impacted by the preseason injuries. Deshaun Jackson out for the season with the heart issue. And then I can't remember the freshman's name. Miles Rice, I think, that had cancer.
Rice, that's right.
The rest of the year. Yep. That's like 2 key scholarship guys just gone that were definitely going to play. So they've been trying to, I think, scramble and figure out what the right rotation is after that. With these guys, maybe would have dabbled it at 5. 4 scares me too much. I don't think it's worth the investment at that price. And again, why do I like the over here? We'll find out if I look like an idiot. I bet the Drake Southern Illinois over yesterday and lost by 30 points. So it happens.
To the chat's point, this is about when Bobby Hurley starts declining every single year. So good point. Arizona State could just be on its roller coaster down right now.
Yeah, we freaking thought Northwestern would be, but no,
that's
not against Illinois. Yeah, put that on Illinois. That's fair. All right, Matt, let's get back to you for Chat Mob Part 2. I know there's plenty to discuss.
Let's go quick here. Scotty H. asked about Coastal at App State. I'm sorry, Scott, for missing your questions. I missed a lot of you guys' questions. I'm also putting Pat's questions in timeout right now. But Scott asked about Coastal at App State, Appetizer State. Thoughts on this one, Mr. McKeon?
No thoughts. I guess I lean towards Coastal at 5.5. I don't think these teams are too far apart, but I got nothing.
I bet the under small.
Jim, a few people asked me about Tennessee State against SIU Edwardsville. Some money coming in on Tennessee State. Opened at 8, now at 6.5. Road dog.
Yeah, they've got talent. That's kind of what we say about Tennessee State every year. We're like, man, this team should compete at the top of the OVC, and they don't always. And SIU's been nothing short of really, really impressive this year. Yep. Did not bet aside. Again, bet the under small there. So that would be my one play.
Hi, Timmy Kafer, UC Irvine, UC Davis. no hard take for me here. UC Davis home, 1.5 point dog against the
2.5.
Eaters. Down to 1.5 now.
I'm seeing
2.5. Oh,
Yeah.
BetRivers. Okay, most of the shops. It's a good pricing if you like the Mustangs.
Unless my screen's delayed. I'll tell you what though, Matt, you know the
Mine probably
Davis
is, too.
Irvine area. I'm pretty sure that's pretty close to each other. Am I wrong?
Now Davis is NorCal.
Is that
Irvine's
Sacramento
SoCal.
actually? Yeah,
Davis
you're right.
is
That's more
Sacramento.
Sacramento. Well, never mind.
We'll get you there. We'll
I
do an
lean
episode
Irvine
on college.
for absolutely no
I do
reason.
too.
I lean Irvine. Yeah.
I agree.
eating
I think
ants
Davis.
today. I'm
Yeah,
eating
I like
ants.
Irvine.
Yeah, there you go.
Consensus fun. Tata with 2 questions, Jimmy. Southern Utah, Tarleton talked about how feisty the Texans are at home. But man, the Thunderbirds have been red hot.
Yeah, I don't trust Tarleton until if Smith and Freddie Hicks are back. Like that's their 2 best offensive players by far. Hicks has like a top 30 in the country usage. When he's not out there, I don't like it. If both those guys are out, I think the under has a lot of value because Tarleton will purposely make it even muckier and slower, and I think that helps.
Kai's other question is Charlotte. The secret lies with Charlotte heading down to South Beach to take on FIU plus 4.5. That's a deep cut reference. Jim got that.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Kai
National
Panthers
Treasure.
plus 4.5. National Treasure. Thank you. Great movie, by the way.
Matt's seen like 10 movies, and it's always amazing when he pulls a quote because it's like, wow, it's one of the 10 movies you've seen. Okay, good to know. I lean Charlotte. This line came down. It felt a little high at the opener, I'll be honest, but FIU's a team I just don't like this year. I've given faith to them the last couple of years. They just haven't delivered since Jeremy Ballard's impressive first 1 or 2 seasons there. And Charlotte's been incredible. Just incredible team this year.
Jim, Ryan A. asked about Eastern Illinois, a.k.a. the Iowa Killers, heading on the road to Tennessee Tech. They're catching 4 in a short dog spot. Thoughts?
Man, I still think that Iowa aberrational performance is lending value against EIU right now. So I think there's been a little bit money to come in on Tennessee Tech. I agree with it. I think that's the right direction for it to move. I also think under Eastern Illinois games, scored 98 points against the Big Ten team. I think there's many games of regression to come after that.
Yeah, that's true. Although they're playing a little bit faster, aren't they? Marty Simmons starting to open up the offense a little bit.
Higher than it's been. Yeah.
Marty Ball. Maybe it's dead. Kai. Ethan asking, is 18.5 too many for Green Bay in a conference game? Well, Green Bay is not any good. They're playing Fort Wayne, who's been very good. Any take?
Man, market thought so. It's down to 17.5. I did take a little bit at 18 because
good for you.
It is a lot. Green Bay, they are terrible, but they have a lot of instances this year of keeping games within like 15, 14 points.
Wisconsin competed there.
They play so slowly that they can make that happen. So I do expect them to get pretty much blown out. But I think they can get within the number here at the end of the game.
Yeah, the Wisconsin game. Maybe
we get it. Jim's a Green Bay Packers fan. Blah blah blah.
Go Packers. Go Packers.
Go Phoenix
Jim,
as well.
Will Herman will Summit Showdown. Denver at St. Thomas. Man, I just need to rewire my brain to join the world in which St. Thomas can be a touchdown favorite in a conference game. But they're pretty good. I don't know. Any take here?
They are quite good. It's been bet down a 0.5 point in some places, and I sort of agree with that. I just think Denver's not that much worse than them. St. Thomas has been a juggernaut this year. I've won a couple of bets on them, but it doesn't feel like it's fully real all the time. I don't know. And Andrew Rohde's been in and out with his issues, so we'll see.
Hi, Cody K, North Texas heading to Western Kentucky. Man, I have no take on this game. I like one team. I don't like the other. It's kind of pretty simple for me.
And that's why I didn't bet it, because at 4 points, that spread's probably too high. But I said, West Kentucky's been terrible this year. I don't like this team. I'm always frustrated when I bet on them and watch their games. And North Texas is a team I really respect, and I love their coach. So I'm just going to stay away. Sometimes it's the best thing to do, Matt, when you're betting.
It is. I know. My Matt circa 2021 would be all over West Kentucky here, but I've learned my lesson. My gut doesn't like it. Jim, Nick Shireen asking about Montana State at Northern Colorado. The no-call Bears have driven me up a freaking wall this season. I have lost more money fading and backing them than any other team. Fun fact, the Fighting Danny Sprinkles are a 2-point road favorite. Your take?
Yeah, I have been driven nuts by Northern Colorado too. This is borderline last showdown, or what's I don't know what the phrase I'm trying to think of is not coming to me.
Last hurrah.
Last straw.
Yeah, basically last
stand.
Hurrah. Yep. Montana State's good, so if they lose, I probably shouldn't really punish them that much, but it feels like Northern Colorado at elevation should be able to get to this one.
It's time for extras. Read all about them. Rapid fire here. Kai, Matty Akers, American at Holy Cross. American's awesome. Holy Cross is playing better. I don't know.
I leaned American at -6. That's just because I think American's awesome.
Jim, Northwestern State, one of the mid-major darlings in the non-con, heads to McNeese down there in the Bayou, laying 4 on the road. I kind of like their side.
Yeah, I prefer the home team here.
Okay.
Big rivalry, Louisiana teams.
Yeah, big rivalry game.
But I mean, Northwestern State's been like unquestionably better than McNeese this year. So if you're going just purely on current form, yeah, you got to go Northwestern State. But I think McNeese has some room to improve. I don't hate that roster as much as they've kind of shown this year.
A lot of people targeting New Hampshire. I guess we're trying to make Binghamton the pinata here. I don't think they're very good. I kind of like what they're putting down. Do you have a take? New Hampshire catching 2 on the road.
Bill Harrion is one of the best coaches in the country. Full stop. Because this roster for New Hampshire is brutally
it's a bad
bad.
roster. It's a bad roster.
They play so freaking hard. It's incredible to watch. They'll miss 100 layups and they will frustrate you, but they will play really hard. And Binghamton is a little bit out of sorts right now. This team was supposed to be a lot better this season and kind of compete towards the top of this conference. It has not happened. -1.5 preseason. I would have hammered Binghamton. Right now, though, I'm staying away.
I would just add that Binghamton, like McGriff's been out for a while and he looked healthy in their A East opener. They competed at Bryant for all 40 minutes. So maybe they start to find that level with McGriff back in there. I don't know.
Jim Lake show. Actually, a few people locking this in. The ground troops, Jalen Rucker, specific angle he mentions is that they're playing Loyola Maryland today. My Greyhounds. They're not my Greyhounds. I disavowed them. They're not my team anymore, by the way. For the record, chat mob.
Yeah.
Awful.
Apparently they overlooked him in the recruiting thing, so he's going to like have some revenge on his mind. I love Jalen Rucker. So anything that like any angle that locks Jalen Rucker into a big game, I'm kind of into back it.
That's a dynamite angle from the chat. I would be curious what his production's been against Loyola Maryland previously in his career. If it's been like supernova type stuff, then it seems like you got something there. And I will never advise against betting against any of these troops.
Kai Stetson hosting Jacksonville. Panhandle tilt here. 125 total. Should be a low scoring game, obviously. Basically a pick 'em. Thoughts?
Yeah, another game I would have hammered in the preseason. I would have hammered Jacksonville, but Stetson's been really good. Really impressed with them. Jacksonville's still not all the way healthy. While I think they still are the better team, I can't trust them right now.
Kai, I'm going back to you because I sort of blame you for seducing me onto North Florida last game. They didn't deliver for us.
Really
and now they're hosting Kennesaw against Stetson. Yep. And now they're hosting Kennesaw, who I love. So why are they at Pick'em? The zone maybe going to mess with them a little bit? I don't know.
I do. Kennesaw's a terrible zone team. Yep, that's a good angle. I don't think they can't really shoot. Their synergy stats are really bad against zone this year. It's also really
they can shoot, but they don't play well against zone.
They don't play well against zone.
Okay.
It's a really good bounce back spot for UNF this game. I think these teams are pretty equal. The entire A-Sun is equal outside of Liberty, in my opinion. I'd probably lean towards -1 at North Florida, but I'm cooling off them just because I lost with them last game. They get to be in timeout for a game.
Their whole offense is drive and dish for threes, and you can't do that against the zone. It needs to be more like ball movement.
Very successful against Indiana for about 35 minutes. Jim, the Ryan and actually a few other folks asking Bryant catching 3 at Vermont. This was sort of the heralded game in this league to start the year. I kind of agree with him. I think it's a little too many. It should be close to a pick. Your thoughts?
I just fully set this out. I think Vermont is going to trend way back up in league play. They played a gauntlet of a non-con. We're figuring out the rotation, had some injuries in the front court. I think they've got a major coaching edge here. Sure, probably a talent and athleticism edge to Bryant, but I think Vermont's compensated for that before in the past. So I'm just going to stay away. I don't have like a big edge for Vermont, but I think they're going to start to take off a bit.
Hi, last one. Back to the main board real quick before we go to best bets. Marshall heading to Georgia Southern. Speaking of, we talked about how Rice frustrated me to start the year and then started playing well after I gave up. Georgia Southern, team I bet on early, and now they're playing well, yada, yada. I don't know. What do you think here? Touchdown is what Marshall's laying on the road.
Yeah, Georgia Southern's been a completely different team since the beginning of the year. They've actually been pretty good, and I've reluctantly admitted that. 7.5 is huge, but I'm not fading Marshall. I kind of swore off fading Marshall a long time ago. Not going to do it.
Let's get to best bets, shall we?
Let's do it.
And I believe I will. Who's starting here?
You are. And we still don't know what your second best bet is. So
big
reveal coming for both the chat and
remind us of your first best bet too, if you don't mind.
It's Ohio State, Kai, the -1.5. Going to fade Purdue in this little rut that they're in. And for my biggest best bet, or my initial best bet, this is my biggest bet of the day, I guess, for full transparency. I am taking the Road Jack Bunnies heading to their North Dakota State brethren of sorts, down to 2 now. I'm going to take 2. Kai, lock me in at 2, please. I like that it came down. So I guess some money coming in on the home short dog. Jack Bunnies are just kind of back to where they were in the first 2 weeks of November, which is a really good team before they got super injured and before they got ravaged by the flu. Now they're not fully healthy yet. They're not at full strength. But a key thing I've looked at, Zeke Mayo has really played well. And I think he's a guy that has massive talent, super special shot maker, dynamic in the open floor. He struggles against pressure, but in the Summit, you're not going to see a lot of pressure. So I kind of think he carries this team to a really elite offensive level. Defensively, I think they're getting better. I don't like this North Dakota State team at all. Their backcourt really does not exude confidence. So I'm taking the short road favorite.
Yeah, hard to figure out either team right now, but good luck to you. I lean the Jack Bunnies as well. My best bet, Santa Clara, +1.5 right now at BetRivers. That's right. It moved to 1.5. Hooray. I'm rolling with AirPods. It's about a 5-hour drive, Matt, down the I-5. You know the I-5.
Yeah, I do. Great highway.
Not a bad little drive. Scenic. I've never been down the I-5.
It's like 3 hours, but again, this is NorCal, SoCal.
It's 5 hours.
Do you know the difference? Okay, 5 hours. Okay.
Yeah, I looked it up. I love the length across the board for Santa Clara. That's very key to slowing down Pepperdine's backcourt, which is very talented and very good. You've heard about it all season long. And I think Santa Clara should find success in the block and in transition. And finally, Sendek. I think he's a better coach than Romar. I'll put my money with him instead of the latter. Santa Clara +1.5.
Love it, Kai.
Razz on Pepperdine, of course they are.
I mean, they're always on Pepperdine.
They're always on Pepperdine.
I think I'm 2-0 against. No, I'm 1-1 against Raz when they're on Pepperdine. So okay,
they know when Pepperdine's going to shoot like 16 of 32 from three. I don't know how they know that, but they always know that.
Yeah,
they're good at that.
It's good math by they run some numbers over there. So my first best bet was the Northern Arizona Montana under 138.5, revealed in the first chat mob section. The other one is a Summit under. Always painful and scary to go with Summit unders. Omaha and Western Illinois under. Again, it's kind of my formula. Two teams that I think play a little slower offensively than their overall tempo indicates, and potentially some shooting numbers due to come down. Omaha just played a fantastic game against Oral Roberts. Maybe this one's a little slower and kind of a grinded out game. That's what I'm aiming for with that. So under 147 is the number I saw it last at BetRivers. If it's 146.5, yell at me. But I believe it's 147. That's what we'll go with unless we hear otherwise. That's it for the day. That's it for today. We are off tomorrow on Friday. Very soft, sad slate. But we're back on Saturday, and there's 146 line games. So I think we'll have just a little bit to talk about on Saturday. We'll be repping our spinny hats. We'll see you all then. Enjoy the games tonight. Lots of good ones. And enjoy your Friday. We'll see you on the weekend. Cheers.